I'm Media Director Holly Andrews. Well, today we're talking about something almost every business faces at some point. We have to cut the budget. Budget cuts. Sales slow down, markets tighten, economic uncertainty hits, pressures increase. And one of the first reactions businesses often have is cut the advertising. But here's the problem. When brands go completely dark, completely quiet, consumers notice and competitors gain ground fast. Today we're talking about how to protect your media buy when budgets shrink, why visibility still matters during difficult times, and how smart brands stay even when spending gets less. Because the goal during budget cuts is not to panic. The goal is strategic protection. You see, one of the most common mistakes businesses make is disappearing completely when the pressure hits. They pull campaigns, they pause branding, reduce visibility to almost nothing. And while that may feel financially responsible in the moment, it often creates long-term damage because branding momentum is difficult and expensive to rebuild. Consumers are constantly being exposed to competitors. If your brand disappears for months, someone else is going to fill that space in the consumer's mind. And when you finally return to the advertising, you're not starting where you left off. You're starting behind. You see, strong brands understand something important. Visibility creates stability, even during difficult seasons. Now let's be clear. Protecting your buy does not mean pretending budgets don't matter. Of course they do. It means making smarter strategic decisions instead of emotional ones. Because when budgets tighten, the strong brands, well, they don't disappear. They become more focused. When budgets shrink, businesses often make another mistake. They cut everything evenly. But smart media strategy just doesn't work that way. You should protect your strongest visibility points first. Ask yourself, where does our brand perform the best? Where are we most recognizable? What environments build the most trust? Maybe that's the morning news or sports or weather, radio, a dominant billboard, streaming video or streaming audio. Maybe it's community sponsorships. You see, the key is to protect the placements that create the strongest emotional familiarity. Because familiarity matters more than random reach, and often fewer strong placements outperform than scattered weak ones. Strong brands understand this. It's better to own fewer spaces consistently than to barely appear everywhere inconsistently. Protect your brand identity first. Protect your strongest visibility patterns. Protect the environments that the consumers already associate with your brand. You know, one of the biggest misconceptions in advertising is that bigger always means better. Well, it doesn't. You see, consistency matters more than occasional burst of volume. Many businesses overspend during strong months, then they disappear completely during slower periods. That creates unstable branding. Consumers stop feeling connected to your brand. Strong branding is actually built through repeated exposure time over time. You see, that means even during budget reductions, maintaining consistency matters enormously. Sometimes smaller budgets, but it must be sustained visibility. It's far more powerful than giant short-term campaigns. You see, this is where strategy becomes critical. Maybe instead of running everywhere, you just have to narrow your focus. Maybe you reduce rotations, but keep sponsorship ownership. Maybe you shift from expensive reach to high frequency. Maybe you reduce day parts, but you maintain your dominant position. The goal becomes, how do we stay emotionally present in the market? Not how do we disappear and go dark. Because silence weakens trust faster than many businesses actually realize. You know, one of my favorite strategies during tight budgets is sponsorship positioning. Why? Because sponsorships often create high repetition, brand familiarity, credibility, and consistency at a low cost than traditional heavy schedules. Things like weather sponsorship, traffic reports, sports updates, community integrations, maybe studio naming sponsorship. These placements create repeated branding moments. And repeated branding moments, well, it creates familiarity. And you know, familiarity builds trust. And you know what I say, trust builds your brand. You see, consumers begin hearing your name regularly, even if the overall budget has been reduced. This is why strong media partnerships matter so much. Experienced media buyers actually know how to negotiate creative solutions during difficult times. Maybe that means we need some additional bonus spots or added value. Maybe some digital extensions, social integration, improved positioning. Strong ad agencies and media partners help clients stay visible strategically even when those budgets get cut. Because protecting visibility is often more important than protecting the ego. One thing businesses need to understand is this: fear creates bad media decisions. Panic causes brands to abandon long-term strategy for short-term comfort. And that's dangerous because consumers don't know your internal financial pressures. They only experience your visibility. And so when brands disappear suddenly, consumers subconsciously notice and competitors gain their emotional space. Strong brands stay calm during uncertainty. They adapt strategically. But that doesn't destroy years of branding momentum because of temporary pressure. This is especially important when industries where trust matters: automotive, healthcare, retail, financial services, home services. Consumers want stability, and visible brands appear more stable. That emotional perception matters. It matters enormously during uncertain economic periods. Visibility itself becomes reassurance. So if budgets become smaller, one of the smartest things that brands can do is protect frequency. Because frequency builds memory, frequency builds recognition, frequency builds trust, and you know it, trust, well, that builds your brand. And one of the biggest mistakes that businesses make during budget cuts is chasing reach while losing repetition. Consumers rarely remember one ad. Branding happens through repeated reinforcement, frequency. This is why focused media strategies often outperform broad, scattered ones. A consistent presence in key environment can maintain emotional familiarity and trust, even when budgets have been reduced. That emotional familiarity actually influences future purchasing behavior. Strong brands understand this. You don't always need to be the loudest, but you do need to stay present. So at the end of the day, every business faces difficult seasons. Budget changes, market shift, pressure happens. But the brands that survive and grow long term are usually the brands that stay visible while others disappear. It's not reckless, strategic, because visibility is not just advertising. Visibility is reassurance. It tells consumers, hey, we're still here, we're stable, we're confident, we're invested in this market. And when budgets tighten, smart brands don't panic, and they certainly don't go dark. They protect the buy intelligently, they protect it consistently, they protect strategically. They protect what's familiar, and they protect the emotional connection that they've worked so hard for so many years to build with their consumers. I'm Holly Andrews. Remember, when the budget is cut, don't focus only on what you can cut. Focus on what your brand cannot afford to lose. This is Holly Andrews. Remember, always stay true to your brand. Now be sure you subscribe to my channel for more stories and strategies behind the media buy.